Now, eventually, it happens to all of us when we do this kind of work. Inevitably, somebody is going to come along and say, oh my God, you're doing the devil's work. You're risking unclean spirits and demonic possession, obsession, or negative experiences that are going to be created as a result of all of this. Well, I do consider myself a fairly reasonable individual. And so when this was thrown at me a week or two ago, I kind of took it to heart in the sense I really stopped and thought about it. And I was like, well, okay, can we test this hypothesis? Can we really look at the data? And does the data bear that out? And believe it or not, the answer is actually yes, we can. And we only need 2 mediums to do it. One would really be enough. But because we want to be, a scientific in our approach about it, we need more than one just for replication, for scientific reductionism. So I want to take Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, and Tyler Henry, the Hollywood medium. And let's look at it like this. To start off with, Teresa Caputo's Long Island medium show went for 14 seasons and aired 176 episodes. Let's say that every episode had 3, and on average 3 readings per episode. So for 176 episodes over 14 seasons, that would be 528 readings for Teresa Caputo. For Tyler Henry, his show, Hollywood Medium, ran for 4 seasons for 49 episodes. Let's say 3 readings per episode there. That's 147 readings for Tyler. So combining those two together, that's 675 readings right there. Now, from those two, just those 2 mediums and the 675 readings on television, were there any reported exorcisms needed from that show, from those people involved in that show? No, none, 0. Were there any reports of demonic disturbances afterward? No, none, 0. Now, I'd like to scale that up a bit. So, let's scale that up to public demonstration audience sizes outside of the television episodes. And we'll say on average, a minimum 200 people attending to 1,000 people per event conservatively. And let's say they do 10 of these a year. So for one medium, that would be 2,000 to 10,000 people in 1 year. Now let's times that out by 4. So we'll use Tyler Henry's 4-year run for Hollywood Medium as kind of like the base. So we'll say for Tyler 4 years, and also Teresa 4 years. Now Teresa had 14 seasons of the Long Island Medium. She has another show out right now, so she's definitely gone longer, I think, out there in the personal demonstration sphere than Tyler. But we're just going to take 4 years for both of these mediums. And so at that point, just one of them, for doing this for 4 years, is reaching 8,000 to 40,000 people just on their own. And since we're dealing with 2 here in our little thought experiment, that would actually be 16,000 to 80,000 people. So, between 16,000 and 80,000 people for 2 highly acclaimed and tested mediums. Clearly, the ability to link with spirit isn't hurting them, with all that demonstrating. They certainly aren't reporting demonic possessions or harassment requiring exorcisms. So now, let's look at the people who have attended these events, which would include, obviously, the people who received the readings there. So, did any of that 16,000 to 80,000 people report needing exorcisms afterwards? Or report being demonically harassed or otherwise negatively impacted? None, 0, zilch. At least not that I could find. In fact, if you were to poll many of them, you would find the readings actually strengthened their faith in a loving God. As many of my own clients have said to me. And that's just 2 mediums. So as you scale that up to the thousands of legitimate mediumship workers, as well as the thousands who have attended spiritualist services in the UK, where spiritualism is its own religion. Let me put it this way. If mediumship and spirit communication was truly the devil's work, to possess, harass, and turn people against God, he has failed at an abysmal rate. Maybe during Jesus' journey, the devil was more active, requiring those passages of warning at that time. And maybe he has since given up. I don't know. But regardless, the data-driven analysis does not support demonic possession or devilry of any kind. In fact, the evidence of the last 150 years in which mediumship has been objectively studied, included by those in academia, points directly in support of Paul's declaration of the ability to distinguish between spirits as actually being one of God's gifts that he gives to people, that he freely gives to those he chooses. You can find this in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 10. Now, I'm not saying you have to believe in this. I'm not saying you have to believe in spirit communication. I'm not even telling you personally you must go see a medium. That's ridiculous. You have free will. No one is required to engage the services of a medium. And indeed, it is not for everyone. Nothing ever is. But it's time to put this assertion of mediumship and spirit communication, of being of the devil, to rest. It is not. All of the healing that's happened from people visiting good, credible mediums contrasts that. All of the people who not only work as mediums, but who have witnessed readings or have had ones themselves, have not reported needing exorcisms or been harassed by unclean spirits. The evidence, the data-driven evidence, really points to what in biblical scripture is in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 10, and nothing more. This ability to communicate with spirit is a spiritual gift, according to scripture, that God bestows upon those who he sees fit. And so anyone who declares that they know differently at this point is looking to supersede God based on this evidence, based on this analysis. So please, judge not, lest ye be judged. Your loved ones want to let you know they are there. And with effort, they can bring through evidence to demonstrate that. So is it safe? Yes. Is it for everyone? No. And it's entirely your choice. Now, postscript. Inevitably, somebody is going to post a comment below here saying, well, I had a friend who went and saw a medium and then they had all of these bad experiences happening after them. And that completely proves you wrong. Well, there are always outliers in any form of data analysis. What I'm saying is that the vast majority, simply does not support the demonic theory. Now, what I will say, when it comes to those who do experience negative things after a reading, when you look into the background, the history, their belief system, more often than not, these people do have a background steeped in religion. They do have a background that has very well constructed a framework mentally to believe in this sort of thing as being negative and will have those results happen. So I'm not here to say it will never happen, but I am here to say that the evidence itself objectively does not support it. However, if you do have a belief system or were steeped in a belief system that supported this sort of thing as being potentially dangerous, you bet those experiences can happen. But that's really more as a result of what is being believed by the individual and not necessarily from the event in and of itself. The data just doesn't support the demonic end of it.